Hi everybody, dear Myrtle again. Okay, I can finally show you this picture without crying. This is pretty amazing to have a 4-generation picture. I didn't think this existed. I remember taking a 3-generation picture of Dad, my oldest daughter Tammy, and my Grandma Myrtle, Dad's mom. And I always regretted that I wasn't in the picture. I didn't remember this. But among the things that we found was this: no, I don't have cataracts in my eyes. Do you need better light?
No, it looks good.
Now, Grandma has Lou Gehrig's disease and she can hardly stand up, and I'm helping hold her up, and so is Dad.
How old would you say she is right there if you had to fancy a guess?
Let's see. She died in September 1972, and she was born, this was, although it says May here, that's when it was developed. This was in late February, and she was born in 1896. So do the math.
Okay.
Can't do the math.
76? 75, 76?
It's not very old. Just a minute, let me go look at my genealogy database and go to her own file here. Let's look on this.
Okay.
So yeah, she died when she was 76 years old. That's not very old. To me, I thought of her as much older than that.
I guess that's what Lou Gehrig's will do to you, though.
Yeah, that's for
too
sure.
bad.
Yep, I see how much you rely on a computer for my brain. Now, this next picture is taken at the same time, and it's Dad holding Tammy. And see these, remember these chairs which are now, they used to be patterned, but now they're striped. And that's before the wallboard went in, that was paneling in the background of the living room. Now this next one looks really horrible, but it's funny. Dad and his mother, Myrtle, would play these marathon checkers games. In fact, she taught me to play checkers. She taught me to play solitaire sans computer, which was with the actual 52-card deck. Here we are. This is in the dining room. Behind here, the shades are just windows. But remember, Grandpa put a little garden area out there. And this he made, which was a little hibachi. Can't do hibachis indoors, but this has a big high-powered fan in that little alcove, and it's still there. Well, it was still there. And this wall that's orange became that beautiful tapestry wallpaper, and then they had one of those floating glass cabinets for all of Blanche's china. But
you know what I'm noticing?
What?
Grandpa doesn't have a goatee.
He doesn't. However, he does have his retractable key thing there, key fob.
And 2 short pants.
Yeah, right. But look at her smile. She must be had at that point.
Yeah, and he doesn't look too happy right there.
No, but let me show you this that I found to go with this picture.
Okay.
Have a happy birthday, son. Dearest Glenn, I love you dearly, even if you do beat me at checkers, Mother.
So apparently he prevailed.
And look what she got him for.
Cute.
I mean, he could have anything, but it's their thing.
That is cute.
Yeah. Now remember I mentioned that Aunt Grace and Grandma Myrtle, let me put it that way so you can see it better that way. They're bestest friends. I don't know where they got those dresses, but that was the style in the 70s, wear these kind of poochy prints like that. And you may recognize this as what?
That's the front entryway to their house.
To Dad and Blanche's house on Overlake. But the new light fixture isn't here yet. And this is when the door was still turquoise blue, Blanche's favorite color. It was before he got that multi-textured laminate. And I remember watching him actually lay the laminate, dealing with the glue. I
do have to say about the dresses, I think those would be back in style now. I think those would kind of be...
Seriously?
Yeah, I think I've seen patterns like that at the store. It's quite hip now.
Oh, okay. Here's the best picture I've seen of Aunt Grace. Just gorgeous. In fact, that ring looks very much like a ring that Grandma Myrtle had. But I don't know that.
Yeah.
And now there's the chair updated.
I was going to say there's this, I recognize the chair now with that striped fabric.
And then these chairs have been recovered. This was kind of a rosy colored, and I have them now, and it's more of a purpley plum color.
In fact, you can catch a glimpse out of the corner there.
Oh, you're so good at this camera
with some
work.
more of our piles of stuff that we're working on in there.
Well, part of the reason it's a pile is we had that evacuation because of the wildfires, and Mr. Mert put them in there. Because when we came back, they said, you can come back home, but just don't unpack yet.
Right.
It was a little unsettling. So now I want to tell you the significance of this. If I can do it without crying. Remember what that stands for?
Apple a day.
Yes, Dad loves speedboats, the kind that people could water ski behind. So we either had one with a Mercury outboard, or in later years we had them on inboard outboard. And they were always fiberglass boats, not the Chris Craft wooden boats. And I made these flags for his light pole in the back. And in the early years, I'd make 2 flags at a time, and I'd give them a new one every other year or so, because they really get beaten up in the salt water, especially when you're up in the San Juan Islands. And it used to be, you could just, my first idea for it was I saw an apple applique that I could buy at Minnesota Fabrics there off Briggs Cheney Road in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I just put it on a little flag. But
I remember that.
Yeah, it's all double stitched, and it's duck cloth, real heavy. Because these really get whipped around.
Yeah.
And then the same motif is on the other side. I'm glad he took a picture of it, because I do have a flag that's left from the boat, but it's so beat up, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And
didn't you also make him a hat that went with it?
Yes, a captain's hat instead of the captain's insignia. It has an apple on it. And then the last few times I made him one, because I was always doing this, you couldn't buy him anything because he already had it. But something like this he loved because it was homemade but apropos.
Yes.
And the fact that, the phrase, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, that's what he named his boats. So, now he did have one called the Pink Lady that was a pink fiberglass boat. But then he started in with the apple ones. Now, I'll show you this picture. This is Aunt Beverly. That's Dad's sister. I don't know who the cute little guy is.
Yeah,
and that's Aunt Grace later when she was getting quite a bit older and more frail. But what I wanted to show you too is there's Dad's organ in the background. Remember the little alcove, and here's the fireplace with the flagstone, and there's one of the paintings that Sharon sent. And there's one of his books. His music books. He had a lot of what they called cheater books.
I remember.
And it basically had the melody line, and there's like 3 songs to a page, and then a little indication of what chord you should play. And Dad could play both registers, keep changing all the stops, and those were full-length pedals underneath, not just the little 2-foot ones. And now I end up having that.
Didn't that organ also have that interesting light over it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it had a funny plastic turquoisey molten.
It looks like you took different plastics or candles and melted it onto it.
We'll have to go to Stacy's to get a picture of it because she got that.
Yes.
Sounds like they had a horrible house, but they didn't.
No, look at the garden. Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I remember.
Dad contrived this waterfall. This part of the property was always kind of wet anyway. It had a very it had a little spring that came up through there, but they put a waterfall there. And he built this Japanese bench, which you could get to by going up behind the rhododendron and the azaleas. I remember when they put this little split-leaf red maple in, it was just a squatty little thing. And these big junipers coming out this way were all there before when they bought the property. What was over here, do you remember?
Wasn't that the other next-door neighbor's property? Or?
Nope. Coming this way, we had the tea house.
Oh, yes, on that side. I thought you meant directly.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
sorry.
another neighbor's house.
And I remember this because as a kid, we would go back there. In fact, I remember one summer going back, and I didn't know if it was dream or if it was real, that there was this hidden bench that you could go back there. And I remember when I found it, I was so excited because I thought I had just dreamed about it, but it was actually, because it seemed so magical that it didn't seem like it could be real. Because some of this growth came up more later on, so then it really hid it well. And so you felt, as a kid going back there, it just felt like you were going through this secret passage, like the Secret Garden, which was a book I had read. And I remember playing back there for hours.
So cool. Here's a close-up of the rhododendrons.
Oh, yeah.
I just loved them. And I like this picture because this was Dad's birthday, obviously. We had a couple of different, that's his birthday crown. And I just like how he's looking over at me. Dad was a hard taskmaster. And there's the waterfall in the background. And you cannot see the bench because you're right. Things have grown up so much there. And that is not Greta. I think that's Z.
Yeah.
I think that's Zelda. It's not Jake. Then here's another birthday party of his. He's got that same look. This is when I'm actually looking in, I'm presenting those books to him, the ones where I did the ducks and the, where are they? They're over there. Do you see them over there?
Over there, yep.
That's got hand quilting and things. But what I'm reading about is how he got a D on one of his report cards. And we were kind of teasing him because he had always said, oh, I'm beginning to get a little gray there, aren't I?
And those are my cousins there. There's Ashley and is that Marissa, I think?
Yes, it is.
And that's how I remember them. I see them as adults and I think, aren't you supposed to be little still?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the part of the pool enclosure. Cool. Then I wanted to show this picture of Dad. Do you know where that was taken? It's really not the house, is it?
No, it looks like a gym.
Right. So what Dad would do, he would, whenever there was an activity at church that involved music or a dance or something like that, he would come and play the organ for the Christmas party or something like that. I think this was Christmas because of the red bow tie. And he has his requisite ubiquitous goatee and mustache there. I guess when he couldn't grow as much on top, he started growing it elsewhere there on his face. But this is actually a very big, heavy organ. But he thought nothing of packing it up. He made a little dolly to put it on a platform with wheels that would help him get it up onto a little, I don't know, what would you call it?
Like a trailer or something?
Yeah, a little flatbed trailer with 3 sides. And he'd already wrapped this up in all kinds of moving, quilted kind of blankets and stuff like that and strapped it in. And he always felt that that's why we have things like this, to be able to share and to make things fun or better for people. So I kind of like that. And I guess that's about all for this segment, probably a long enough segment. Mostly this was probably interesting to the family and not so much to those who read my Dear Myrtle blog. But anyway, happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.